I'd like to spend a little time talking about the top challenges that we face in marketing. So one of the things we find is when we talk about our challenges, our biggest challenge in marketing, then we start to understand better what it is that we can work on that will help us the most. So for example, I would say 10 years ago in our group, we had maybe 1 or 2 distributors that had marketing managers. And so we have tried for a long time to promote that each one of the distributors need to have a marketing manager. And we've had a lot of success. Now we have a lot of people getting into the area and actually becoming the marketing manager. These type of steps or strategies, if you will, most people didn't talk about marketing plans too often 10, 15 years ago. Now, today, it's something they do annually. So I think we've come a long way, and we come a long way when we share best practices with each other. And so the idea around this next discussion is going to be, we'd like to hear from you, and then once somebody has said it, then you can't say that one, okay? So we don't have to hear the same thing over and over again. So if somebody says, this is my top challenge, then you can't then use the, oh yeah, me, I feel, okay. No, wrong. You got to come up with another challenge. So, and we'll be able to involve distributors and vendors in this. So where is the other microphone? Who has that? Do you want to start? This would be great. Perfect. Do you want to, we'd love it. Why don't you go ahead and start? No, I'm talking about you, Brian. So I'll give you a chance to think, though. Your top marketing challenge. Your top marketing challenge. That's what we want to understand. So several of you are going to get this question. Top marketing challenge that your company faces.
I think because we're a commodity-based.
Can you keep the mic to your, yep.
I think because we're a commodity-based product category, LASCO probably doesn't do enough branding per se with the contractors or store personnel. I think there's just probably not enough margin in there to make that a big focus.
Okay. All right, Rob Beaujolais, your top marketing challenge.
The owner, definitely. ADHD, trying to do too much. Being unorganized, reinventing the wheel. So that covers about all of it. Yeah, I think you know, we do find ourselves trying to redo. You know, I think it's putting a marketing calendar together and sticking by it, and not chasing the shiny objects, which I have a habit of doing. So
it's good for you sales guys to know that, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
He chases shiny objects. No, keep going. You're not done.
I'm done.
No.
Yeah.
Your top marketing challenge, I'd really like to know what it is. I thought that was a bunch of BS as usual.
Yeah.
Come on, give me something better than that. Rob.
Me not making my staff run around in circles. I guess it would be knowing what the competition's doing, you know, significantly, you know, Site 1, and making sure that we're a step ahead of them instead of chasing them, I would say is our biggest challenge.
Okay, understand market conditions. Great. Dave.
All right. I'd say that we have 2 big challenges, and one of them is the fact that we're 3 separate companies we're doing marketing for. We're not just doing it for the distributorship portion. But I know you're not going to accept that. That's a cop-out answer. So the other one I'm going to say is the first person we have to market to is our sales team. If they don't have a buy-in on our marketing plan, then our marketing fails. So that was something I had to pick up very quickly early. If our promotion isn't something they want to sell, they won't sell it. So how do we work with our sales team and not against them to push out the promotions and the plans that we're trying to do? We did a lot of promotions this summer, and I honestly don't know, because I'm not in the field, who got sick of the promotions. If it really was the contractors, because personally I never get sick of free stuff, or if it was the sales guys, because they felt like they had to push all these promotions out. So I think that part of the marketing plan needs to be, how are we going to sell this to our team so that we can actually move forward with the marketing? Does that make sense?
That makes a lot of sense. I think it's a challenge a lot of our distributors face. It's the same thing. A lot of times marketing doesn't know what's going on with sales and vice versa. It's a very common challenge, yes. Thanks. John.
Yeah, so it's a tough one. So from our perspective at Kitchler, at least me personally, so I'm coming in, I've only been there for a couple months now, is communicating to all of our different channels. So as we have a new product come out, a new promo, anything, it is having, and we talked about it today, having a message that connects with your customer, whether it's you as a distributor or the contractor themselves. So our biggest challenge is taking that one message, making it relevant to everybody, and distributing it and getting it in front of everyone. So everyone's aware of it, everyone knows, and it's relevant to everybody. I thought you were going to say it. I was avoiding saying Tom Rowe's a problem, but you guys know that already.
We were just talking about that. So I think for us, it's how do you stand out versus all the noise? I mean, all the manufacturers here, we're all trying to move product. We're all trying to get somebody's attention. So how do we get a message that really stands out above the noise?
You pass that to Justin?
Totally agree with that. It's how do you stand out? With us, it's competition. We've got several other pump companies in the marketplace, and we are working very hard to become one of the top pump companies. So it's how do we get that message across, establish brand awareness, and expand our sales force. We've traditionally been focused on the well market. We're making a big push into the irrigation market. That's why we're here. So how do we make sure we support you guys? And it's not just discounting products, it's making sure that your contractors are aware of all of our buzzwords, made in America, quality products, etc. So our focus has been, where do we put all of our efforts first? Digital, for the younger contractors, do we do more print stuff? For the older guys, the binders. So it's really just been a struggle on the changing marketplace, making sure we have quality marketing pieces out there for this new expanded marketplace for us, which is the irrigation segment.
Great. One of the things is you're talking there, we're talking about who do we market to and whether they're a millennial or whether they're like me, an old guy, you know. So that transition in that phase is really important to understand. Having a strategy around it, and you can still have a constant message, but you just communicate it differently by your chosen customer. So I think that's a common challenge all of us face, because we're all going to be faced with that fairly soon. Okay. Do you want to pass that to Mike Young?
We probably have two main things. One is time and resources for a person that's focused solely on marketing. We have a marketing manager that's also a sales manager. He kind of has a dual role. And so it's difficult for him to put his time into doing all the marketing for both sides of our business. We're kind of on the golf side and then the residential commercial side. And for him to put the time and effort, thought into doing a really compelling marketing, which is really the second part of this, which is just getting a message out to customers that don't know all the great things about us, because they're worn out, like Jeff said earlier, at all the messages and all the things that are thrown at them. It's it's too much. It's overwhelming. So maybe a little bit connected to what you guys said in having something that stands out, that's compelling. And those are our two big ones.
I asked Jeff to take 10 minutes on his biggest problem. No.
You know it'll be 10 too. Actually, mine was already said. Rob Beausoleil is my biggest marketing challenge. That's pretty well established. He's a major challenge. I think for me, the industry is going at a boom rate. I see 2018 being a really big year for the industry. So for me, in many cases, it's just getting the client to have enough time to focus on what's important in marketing. It's a challenge for all of us, is carving out the time to plan ahead. So so hopefully the folks in this room can devote more time this winter to planning their efforts, because the season itself is going to be a really big and busy one.
Scott Young, Auto Range Supply. Like cousin Mike over there said, the guy that is the sales and marketing manager, that's basically me. I have a multicolored dunce cap. I just turn it by day, so it depends on what needs to be done. And with that, on the marketing side, you spend a lot more time on what you can put a quantitative number to, which is sales. Marketing, when you get busy, tends to be pushed to the side to get the hay in the barn, so to speak. So number one is just sticking to a plan, having a plan, and I think moving forward, you know, that needs to be the number one priority for us.
Great, I like it. It's good to have a strategy. Laura. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you, thank you. Actually, what our biggest challenge right now is what we call content-rich data. And Beck and I were talking about it earlier, but we're getting a lot of requests as people are moving to e-commerce platforms and trying to get their digital assets. We're getting a lot of requests for photos in different formats, videos, content-rich, I mean, spreadsheets that are gigantic and different attributes, and that's because it helps search engine optimization and that sort of thing. But it is time-consuming, it's very tedious, and we trying to be consistent with the message, and right now it's one person's full-time job. So that's kind of our challenge in getting that out there.
Steve, how many people do you have in marketing? Currently 4 people. Okay. Thanks. Your biggest marketing challenge?
Yeah, no, as my dad said over there. Now, with the exception of AD, yeah, son. With the exception of ADS, we get a lot of. Dude, you're getting worn out now. Our counter guys have 25 to 30 different promotions going on at any one time, and trying to figure out how to get that guy to remember to do all the stuff we want him to do. And oh, by the way, here's promotion number 18 today. And so that's probably one of our biggest marketing challenges. So. Don't screw up. No, not at all. Not at all.
Very good.
Atlantic.
I like it.
Thank you. You're welcome.
So Matt, you actually have done us a favor. Let's see. I never realized it.
Okay. Who has the mic?
I do.
Oh, Scott.
As Dave was saying earlier, again, just alluded to by Kirk, there is a lot of promotions happening at one time, and that's what that's where fatigue comes in on our staff. So they got every month 4, 5, 6 new promotions. I could see where they get a little fatigued with that. So simplification is good. I am firmly on board with ADS's philosophy. Somehow we got to simplify and make things bite-sized and easy to understand, which I think we're getting better at. But my biggest problem with marketing is just getting it all done. There's so much to do, you know, with bringing a new e-commerce site up and all the other projects that we have going on. It's just very time-consuming work to do everything. So learning how to prioritize so we at least get something done is my biggest challenge.
Good. Nicole?
I'm fairly new to Zurn, so just been there since February, but a lot of what our challenges is what we're working on is really increasing our digital aspect of it, doing an interactive ability with things, adding QR codes to our products that will link back to installation instructions, our videos on how to repair, making that easy, something that also incorporating down the road QR codes on our products so that someone out in the field can scan that QR code down the road, hoping to get to knowing when that product's been serviced in the backflow area, being able to track when it might need to be repaired. So that's kind of where we're going with that. We've started with QR code tracking on our products right now that's linking back to our website where they can at least see installation instructions, maintenance, parts, that forth, but we're looking to move forward to really incorporate that. So that's kind of been challenge getting all that together, and especially with our products, they're out in the field, they're kind of hard to get pictures of. So we've been working with an animation company to get digital renderings of all of our products so that you can do 360-degree turnarounds on them, as well as get them looking and installed in certain situations. So we're trying to get all our products good photos that can be used for different things. So.
Thanks.
I guess there's nothing that's been said in this room that I can say because everything is relevant. Our company is going through everything that you guys have all covered. I think our biggest struggle now is keeping our guys motivated and finding guys who want to be there. We're getting into a workforce issue where we might have the best intentions to promote or market something, especially ourselves, but frontline guys are still a big struggle getting them to remember to tell a customer or be motivated about a sale. The internet is also a big problem too, because 5 minutes after you put your special out, somebody's already looking online at Amazon, as somebody mentioned before, and it's just a lot of things. And I think I agree, finding a simpler way has got to be the issue or the solution, something that's less complicated.
Okay, so I want to now change the question. Tim asked if I could do that. Clary, he's always on top of it. So we wanted to ask, how do you measure the success of what you're doing in marketing? How are you measuring your success of what you're doing in marketing? So Tim, I'll let you start with that one. Thanks. Well, you're measuring his success or something.
I don't know that we do a good job of it, to be honest. So I don't know that I really have an answer. So I could make something up, but it would just be a made-up bunch of googly-gock. So Andy might have a better answer.
Yeah, I try to fill in the gaps there. That was going to be my one challenge, is closing that gap. And what I mean by that is I think we do a pretty good job in planning the marketing. I think we do a pretty good job in executing it, but having that time to measure it, whether it's sales, whether it's looking at Google Analytics or keywords, I just don't feel like we have enough time to do that, and I know there's value in that. Yes, we measure some things in a sales promotion. We look at it and, okay, you know, our sales increased that month because of the promotion. So that's a very valid a point when we get to there. But you know, then is it okay because did they buy the product because of the sale, or was it just they were going to buy that no matter what? So again, I don't have a real good answer. I just wish we had more time and more procedures to measure things. I think it would help us in the next one for sure.
Okay. Steve.
Okay, I want to go back just a second to marketing challenge. My biggest marketing challenge has been when your marketing manager decides to have a baby in October and then takes 90 days off during the period of time that you're planning. I can't believe she did this to me. But it's the challenge we're trying to work through. To try to find out what the value of a marketing program is first of all to determine for us as to who you're doing the marketing program for. Are you doing the marketing program for the manufacturer to introduce a new product, just to get the information out there? Are you doing it for yourself to introduce an event or something you're doing, you're trying to get participation? Or are you doing it for your customer? So determine first of all what the goals are in the promotion. If it's going to be increased sales, is it just going to be touching a customer to get them information about a marketing program or a new manufacturer or a new product? But you got to come up with what the goal is of that program before you start, and you've got to make sure that you're on the same page as the vendor. So if the vendor, what does the vendor expect out of a promotion you're going to run? And then if it's sales, great. If it's introduction of a new product or removing that product, but make sure that you and the vendor are both on the same program prior to putting out that program.
Great. Steve, sales data. So I know you use some data mining, a tool that you do for your sales promotion, so that you dump it into what do you do with that?
Yeah, we purchased MITS several years ago, which is an analytical look at products, customers, margin, pricing, any number of things. So anytime we run a program, we can take a look at the number of customers that bought the product, the number of customers that had been buying product and bought more of the product, the number of customers that had been buying a different product and bought this product. So we can see we got it out there to new customers, we increased the sales to the existing customer base, we can see what our margins did, so we can actually analytically look at any promotion we run and see what the success is on the completion, and then we actually put together a report on that, and we share that report with our vendors so they can see actually what we did and who we sold it to.
Yeah, MITS.
MITS.
M-I-T-S.
How many people in the room have MITS? Bunch of us, and it's been an invaluable tool analytically for looking at your business.
Chris Tucker.
I'm here, admit it's not.
Oh, well, sorry, no, we don't take that.
You do all of those things inside SAP as well, tied into the CRM. Sorry, shameless plug. All of those analytical things you can do inside our CRM platform as well.
So,
Derek, question. How many people in here are using a CRM right now?
okay, let me go to that next. Who has the mics now? Chris, who else has the mics?
Here's one.
Okay.
By the way, we bought Chris's product, and we'll see how, and hopefully it'll work as well as what we're doing. Sorry, Chris.
Oh, no worries.
Yeah, so I think we have 5 distributors in this room that are using SMP's CRM package, but we'll ask the question because I think it's a good one just to understand, different. Yes. So, so going back to MITS or some other system, Chris, that does the same thing. The idea is that we're measuring it. We're looking at it, that we're saying we had increased sales, we didn't increase sales. And so that was one of the great things that I got with Automatic. Whenever we run a promotion from them, they come back and tell me that wasn't a successful promotion. Well, based on what? No way, that was good, So the emotion of it sometimes gets in the way of the objectivity of the number, and you go, man, we really didn't sell that much more. Well, okay, we learned. That's what happens a lot of times when we measure. We kind of learn what we didn't really learn and try to find another way to do that. So we find in a lot of times when we're spending our money in marketing, for example, Cassie runs our marketing plan. She puts it together. We put a budget together for the year. Our board approves it in September. And then she has a plan for the year that she's going to go through. I think Jeff comes in 6 times a year for a day and spends a day with her just saying, okay, are we on target here? Are we on target here? This promotion, that promotion. And so what it's given us is the ability to really stay focused. We have a monthly call and we talk all of us together about what we're trying to accomplish this month. Did we accomplish last month? If we didn't, what are the counteractive measures to make sure we do? What are we doing to change that? It's that kind of stuff. When we're held accountable for what we're doing, it helps us stick to a strategic plan. So if we have a strategic plan and that's what we're going to follow and that's what we're held accountable, it helps us stay there. So a lot of the promotions that we have with distributors throughout the year, we learn so many different things because it's tried in so many different ways. And so hopefully the discussion on promotions, hopefully the discussion on top marketing challenges helps us understand better of how we're going to do it better. So then the next question, I'd just like to have everybody, yes.
Before you ask the next question, you said something and I want to both agree and disagree with you. Derek made the comment that you didn't do more sales, so it wasn't successful. And I just want to make a comment that that's not always true. To me, it's the long-term strategy that matters. It's like what I think it was Jay JB said earlier about building relationships. If you break even or you don't really, you know, do as well, but you have built a relationship with these customers, and 10 years from now, they're still loyal and buying from you, and you're still building those people, was that promotion a success? Absolutely. You know, we're really excited about the Kitchler thing that we just did, but in my mind, it's not successful until 10 years from now, 90% of the people that went through it are still buying Kitchler from Wolf Creek. That is the success, and I just wanted to point that out. It's probably obvious, so I apologize. So, yep, that's all I had. Thank you very much.
Derek, let me say something.
Oh, just because you mentioned your name.
You know, part of the reason, I guess we believe in promoting, but we do not believe in price promotion. Because, you know, and I think our market has come to the point where everybody promotes a price more than they promote their company or a valued relationship with the customer. And that's where I have a problem, and I know Irrigation Station has a problem. Because if you post a price of an 1804 at 99 cents, somebody else is going to be 95 cents. You know, there's always going to be somebody in the market that's a nickel cheaper than you are. And if you got a customer that's always going to buy where it's nickel cheaper, you've not accomplished anything as far as a long-term plan for your company to survive. You know, take Lasco Fittings. And Lasco, yeah, we did have a big promotion. We do it, a 2-year promotion that Lasco went on the cruise with us, bought everybody. We bought out the steakhouse one night on the cruise ship. And thank you very much, Jimmy. But anyway, you know, it's a long-term relationship that we promote, and not if you buy this, you get a Yeti cooler. So please don't misunderstand it. We don't promote. Well, I'm sorry. But I, you know, if I offend you, I do that daily. It really doesn't bother me. But, you know, it's, you know, we got to get, I think the industry as a whole has got to get away from the price promotion. That's my thought. And so.
Great. Great. Okay, so who has the other mic? There. Okay, so question is, do you currently use a CRM? We're going to start right here with Rob. Currently use a CRM? No. 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 Yes. What do you use?
Salesforce, and I think we have something else, Jeff.
So Jeff, what do you use for your CRM? Sorry to wake you up. I didn't mean to do that. Your CRM package. Yeah, I noticed.
We use Salesforce.
Salesforce.com? Okay. So what do you use, Tim?
Front Row Solutions.
Front Row Solutions. Okay.
Yes.
What do you use?
Pipe Drive.
Pipe Drive. Nope.
Sadly, no.
Sorry.
Salesforce.
Salesforce.
Yeah.
Salesforce. No, SMP. What do you use? Okay. Salesforce. Salesforce. I'm just trying to see if you can pay attention. Sorry. No. Steve? SMP?
It's called Call Proof.
Call Proof.
Constant contact in an Excel sheet.
Constant contact in an Excel sheet. Good. Salesforce. Oh, okay, sorry.
A rudimentary system that's in our ERP.
A rudimentary system that came with your ERP system. Okay. Same ERP? Salesforce. SMP.
Alas, we do not. However, we're talking SMP.
Chris, did you, potential customer. Chuck Walker, Silver Line Plastics.
Get you a cell phone number.
got DDI, and I think they have a
keep talking. They could. We bought SMP, so that's what we're using, but I don't know if they do. Chris, does DDI have a CRM program in that?
Every ERP.
Okay, so there's going to be a rudimentary program. Okay. All right, so I'll bet that was 20% of the distributors had it at 20/80, and then 50/50 on manufacturers, but.
I was interested in the answer because I recently sat through a transaction trying to sell this business, helping the owner, and this was a $30 million transaction, and it basically fell through in due diligence because they couldn't show that the sales were scalable beyond the level that they had achieved because they had no CRM. And they had no ability to show where the sales were coming from, and that there were additional customers, and that there were additional customers in the pipeline, and that the business could grow. And so the buyer got cold feet and walked away and wouldn't pay the premium price. So it's just interesting how lacking that technology in sales and marketing, and I'm the consultant that was brought in to sort of help the sales and marketing group get ready for this sale. That was a big mistake, and I should have pushed harder on the client to implement CRM. I think it's a really important tool going forward.
Ouch. Good lesson.
Yeah, big lesson. Big oops for me.
Yeah, but usually that's when you learn the most, is those big oops. Yep. Okay, who has the mother mic? Okay. Jose. No way. Okay. Okay, good. Well, so next question. How much time do we have? We're here till 12? 40 minutes. We have time for more questions. Good. So some of the common challenges we face as a marketing committee is we talk to manufacturers all year long. We talk at this time of year, we talk all throughout the year on newsletter content, that kind of stuff. And sometimes there's a disconnect with regards to newsletter articles and whether someone's been paid or whether they should be paid and that kind of thing. So this year we made a transition on that, and we're taking all the money from the vendors, and then we will pay all of you the money at the end of the year for each vendor. So what we're going to require is that if a manufacturer is sponsoring newsletter content, you're going to add him to your newsletter. Most everybody's done this, but if they're sponsoring content, you're adding 2 people from that manufacturer so that they receive your monthly newsletter. That way they can track and we can track whether or not the content is being done. So we will pay you based upon whether or not you've given the 4 articles to the vendor, because we'll know whether or not that's been done. Okay? So we're asking that you take a little more responsibility to make sure when you come up with your calendar. So if you have 12 months in the year and you have 6 to 8 articles, that's 96 articles, whatever it is. And planning 6 to 8 a month is not that difficult. If you'll go through and plan your year and get it done, then we kind of know, okay, yes, we have 4 articles from Wilkins, and we have 4 articles from Atlantic, and we have 4 articles from Lasco, and we have 4 articles, so Christie's. Now you know, and you put it in there and it's planned. Too often, we're looking at the 4th quarter, and you have 3 articles to go with somebody. It's like, hey, really, every month? Oh, that drainage always goes great then. December. So anyway, if you'll plan better. So anybody have questions about that? So all those who run the marketing on your side of the company, so we will be paid end of year. We will pay you end of the month later. Okay? So all of the manufacturers will pay us the $500, and then we will in turn pay you for each one of the manufacturers. And I think most of the distributors have 12 to 15 manufacturers in Virtrain that are sponsoring a newsletter. So we'll give you that at the end of the year. So we get questions sometimes from the manufacturers. So I would say at least 5 manufacturers here have asked me this year, they haven't done any newsletter articles yet. Well, no, they've done several. Well, no. But the reason they think they haven't done them is they didn't get the newsletter. So we need every vendor contact in the room that's sponsoring your newsletter to get this information. And then we'll task them with the responsibility of looking at that information and taking it as well. So for those who don't receive it, my suggestion is we can start now. For those who don't receive it, like for example, Nicole, if you're sponsoring 24 newsletters and you don't get 24 of them on November 1st, the best thing to do is to call us and say, okay, I didn't get the following newsletter articles. And then we can get with the distributors and say, add Nicole. We need Nicole added. So if you're sponsoring a distributor, you should receive it every single month. And you may say, well, I'm only sponsoring 4 articles. No, you'll receive it every month. So you'll get all the content that they do. So, so if we can ask the vendors to make sure that you enhance your content. This is our biggest challenge for the last 3 years in the newsletter program. We've been talking to vendors about improving your content. And it's a rude awakening sometimes in the real world of online sales when you don't do that. So for example, we have a company called Yard Outlet, and it's an online store. And I'm going to say September, we got blacklisted by Amazon, meaning our content, all the information in our system wasn't clean enough, good enough, pictures weren't right, all this kind of stuff. And so we couldn't have Amazon business anymore. It's 40% of our business. So if you all of a sudden lost 40% of your business, you would have to say, oh God, I'm going to fix that, right? And so we had to fix it. It took us probably 6 weeks to fix it. And so we noticed it in our sales. We're like, geez, why are the sales so, oh, we got blackballed by Amazon. That's the reality of what happens to you when you don't have good content, when you're dealing with people who are doing online stores. You get blackballed. When you don't have good content for our distributors, when they're building these things, they say, are you kidding me? You don't have that? I mean, all of our distributors that are now offering some type of an online store would tell you the frustrations they've had talking with every one of the vendors in this room about getting good content. Anything that's good, it's a challenge. And some are really good at it, but most of us aren't. And so I think part of this meeting is to talk about what we heard this morning and then talk about how we can implement it within our organizations, because this is becoming for us a big challenge, is learning how we can take the best management practice of this group and make us more formidable, because we're all sharing a lot of the same problems. We're all going through a lot of the same experiences. So, okay, so we're going to end with 2 or 3 questions here. Before that, we have an intermission here. Steve Christie from Automatic.
Okay, if we're putting those people on the mailing list for our newsletter, the vendors need to make sure we have the right person, and if that person changes, then we get the correct person. Because there's been issues, or times I think we've had somebody on the newsletter, they're no longer there, and we get, sorry, we didn't get your articles.
Okay, so
we will send a list to all the distributors of the vendor contacts for your sponsorships. But vendors, if it changes, you need to let me know.
So any questions about what we just talked about, newsletter content, newsletter articles, any questions around the newsletter program, payment of program, all that kind of stuff? Is everybody pretty clear on that? Scott?
I just want to verify, you're saying virtual range will provide us whatever.
We'll provide you with all the contacts you need to add to your database list that are sponsoring your articles. Okay. So if Tom Rowe wants it and John wants it, you'll get both of their names.
Okay.
Whoever the contacts are for all the vendors that have selected you.
And then at the end of the year, virtual range will collect all the money.
Correct.
For us.
Correct. So instead of you getting $500 from 18 vendors,
we'll track them all as individuals. Right.
We'll take care of it, and we'll pay you based on whether you do the articles. So if you do 4 articles with all of them, you get $6,800 or whatever it is.
All right.
Questions? Anybody else on that? Okay. Cassie? Yes. So
Oh boy.
So I think it'd be good for you to walk through how you organize your marketing department so that others might hear some tips of the trade and all that, and talking about staffing meetings and meetings with Jeff and just a month at a glance in 5 minutes.
Sure. Yes. See, this is what I do. Jeff whispers in my ear and I do what he tells me. Okay, so yeah, I'm going to start a little bit big picture and then break it down into what we do every month and how we organize things with our team. So like Derek mentioned earlier, I put together the marketing plan every year. And basically what it is you know, we set growth goals, what we want our numbers to be, and we break it down. We break it down by each of the companies in Virtual Rain, and then, you know, by each of the departments and the services. And we set very specific goals as to how we're going to come up with this overall number. And then we break it down further. So let's say I'm going to pick.
What was one of the goals we had this year? The number of new distributors. What was our goal?
Oh, yeah. Okay, so we had a goal to have a total of 36 distributors. And so from there, we break it down a little bit into, you know, how are we going to reach that? We're going to have, you know, a committee call every month talking about where to find new distributors. We're going to go meet with X amount of distributors. We're going to invite this many to our meeting. Our goal is to have this many come, because that's our biggest sales tool right there, is when they get to the meeting and see how everything works, they can talk to other distributors. So that was the goal, was to have a total of 36. You know, we have goals for different service vendors. We have different goals for, you know, the contractor training portal. We want to have a total of 2,000 contractors by the end of the year. So how are we going to do that? Is it, you know, email marketing? Is it promotions? Is it, you know, whatever that might be? And we break it down by quarters as well. So quarter one, this is the season for training. So we really have to focus on the training portal in quarter one and quarter four as the year ends or winds down. When it comes to seasonal source, that gets more of a focus in quarter three as we're amping up and getting the season going. So it's very, you kind of work backwards. You start with the big picture, you break it down further, you break it down into a timeline. And then from there, we break it down into, you know, who's doing what.
How many people do you have in marketing?
So we have well, myself, and then we have 2 full-time and 3 part-time. So we've got Daly, who's back there, and McCall is part-time. And then we have Shanae and Dayton, who are also part-time, and then Jordan, who is our other full-time. And so kind of what we do day to day or month by month is I meet with Jeff every other month, and we go over a little bit more of the big picture. And, you know, we talk about, are we on track? Are we doing what we're supposed to? And then from there, and sometimes I'll have them, a few of our team members come sit in on those meetings if it's relevant to something they're doing. But after Jeff comes, I have this big giant list of all these things I want to do, which is a little overwhelming sometimes, but, and then we get together with the team. So we have a team meeting every week where we use a tool called Basecamp, which is like a project management tool. It's awesome to use. You can put due dates in there. You assign things to certain people. You can attach files. You can do group chats. So every week at this meeting, we talk about what projects we're working on, you know, down to the little details as well as the big picture, what each team member is supposed to be doing. And I actually, so say McCall's working on something Prime Patio, she leads that discussion instead of me just talking the whole time. They kind of give updates on their project that they're working on, and if there's challenges, we talk about it as a whole team. I think that's all I've got. Anything else? Okay.
No, I just think it's the perspective of what you go through. So I know a lot of people here may say, well, I do marketing X% of the time, whatever my time is. So Nicole, would yours be 100%, for example? Are you marketing 100%? Yeah. Okay.
Well, and voice and customer. I mean, we're doing product development, so we'll bring in groups, work with
So a lot of times we'll have other vendors here that marketing might be 5% of their time. So I was talking earlier to Becca, and she said, I spend about 5% of my time in marketing. And so at different levels, you're 100% of your time. A lot of people are 100% of their time. At different levels, maybe it's something that's different. But I think in general, having a strategy for what you're going to do, trying to follow the strategy, and because it takes a long time to develop this, it takes a long time to put it together, and sticking with something consistently. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the newsletter program because we'll continue to focus on some new content this year. So 2 years ago, NIBCO came and said, you know, we're not sure that newsletter articles are the best for us. I mean, we'll do them, and you know, they may not apply, but you know that guy, that Andrew Duguay, that comes to your meeting and speaks and talks about the economic forecast? Yeah. We could have him do some articles in the newsletter that would be an economic forecast that's sponsored by NIBCO. And I said, that's a great idea. So now he sponsors, and distributors get every quarter, 4 articles a year that tells them an economic forecast for your region even. It's somewhat specific. It's not real specific, but within a region. And it's been quite successful. So we've had a lot of traffic go to that. We've had a lot of distributors say their customers have liked it. So I wanted to maybe get some opinions. So has that been useful? We're getting ready to do some other things in the same vein. We're getting ready to do a series with ADS that is going to be around, Jeff, we were doing 4 articles.
Resources, basically sourcing, onboarding, making hiring decisions related to field employees.
Okay, so we'll have a quarterly article from ADS talking about these issues. And the purpose of it is we're not talking about a product, we're talking about something that can enhance or make them better. And so they love this kind of content in our newsletters. It can't all be product. So we'll be coming up with a new series with ADS. I think the first one will be in February this year. February. And the article will be on?
This one's going to be on interviewing, because we figure a lot of folks are going to be not just interviewing, but sort of how do you do background checks, how do you look at a pool of applicants and decide which one to hire. And then we'll have a series of others throughout the season. And these aren't just articles, they're a downloadable booklet that if the contractor wants, you can read it on the screen, or they can download the full booklet and print it out and circulate it in their office. So it's not just an article, it's a resource. And we anticipate in some cases that the distributor may want to print a few copies and have them at their counter as well, so that they can make them available. And it's also a good topic for sales calls. I mean, to hit on something JB was saying is, the worst thing is to have a sales guy call on a customer and not have anything to talk about, because the topic quickly gets to 95-cent 1804s. But if you can go in and talk about, hey, your company's probably hiring this spring, I've got a resource that you might want to go through this booklet and think about some of these interview questions, think about using some of these online tools to screen applicants. You can get people that are more motivated and find better candidates by using this. And I'm bringing that as your distributor, and this is something ADS, my vendor partner, who doesn't do promotions but is doing this instead, is bringing to me. And maybe STI will reconsider their decision to drop ADS based on this, I hope. I'll work on that for you.
See the value add you bring, Matt? You just didn't know.
Yep. Yep. Kirk might keep you after all.
Okay. Who has the other mic? Steve does? Okay. So in the newsletter, we're continually focused on content and trying to have rich content. And so what we find is that we learn from our customers or consultants of, oh, this is, so we're trying to pay attention to, you know, having your ear to the ground, knowing what's going on in the marketplace. So when we hear that everybody's having to challenge hiring people, having interview questions can be that solution. for some guys or whatever. So that's how we can do that with some of these articles, and we think that'll make a bigger difference. We realize that everyone is pounded all the time with constant contact information coming to you, and it's frustrating. At the same time, what we're still hearing from our distributors is the #1 tool that they use to communicate with their customer is the newsletter. So anything we can do to make that more efficient, more effective, is something we want to talk about. And so we hear from people, we talk to people, we hear about their successful promotions, their online promotions, what they do on their newsletter. And so a couple of things that we've seen that might be more organizational, but when you're doing events, provide an opportunity for your contractors to register for that event. So you might think that would be common and everything, but it's not oftentimes. So provide the link for them to click on, their name, address, phone number, so that when that day comes, 2 weeks before, you can say, hey, we look forward to seeing you. 3 days before, you know it's on Friday. And the day of the event, first thing in the morning, can't wait to see you. It's that kind of stuff that it provides us with the ability to do, and yet oftentimes we don't use that kind of an organizational tool to get that word out. A lot of times the events, if we're doing multiple events, you can have multiple signups. So for that, makes it much easier. So I can tell you one of the frustrations from all the manufacturers in this room is that all of you call them and say, hey, we want you to come to this educational event. And they say, oh, how many people do you think we're going to have? Oh, probably 35, 40 people. And day of event, you get 10. You know, and so everyone's depressed. You know, like, oh my gosh, we're going to have 50 people here and there's 10. Well, I mean, what did we do and how did we do it? And you get down to those, and it's frustrating because you think they should be there. So the great thing that I think you're going to see is in the future, though, we will be able to provide them with more opportunities. So for example, if they miss the NDS training, they could watch an NDS training module. There's other alternatives to the contractor to train and educate them on what's going on in the marketplace. And we're seeing some distributors try these tools and saying, okay, so when we do a sales training event, so we have Jerry Leo does sales training. A lot of people in this room are participating in his program. He comes and does an event. We can video it. Now I can send it to all the salespeople, and all of them can see the great message that he has, and it's been huge. So look at ways that we can incorporate these things into the newsletter. And if anybody has, so we have, I think, 12 committee members for marketing. If anybody here says, gosh, you know what, I would like to get more involved in that, we're happy, you know, to include other people. I think you'll find that the more people we have, the better it is, because we get to have a good discussion. Not everybody can make it every month, we understand, but I think therein is the opportunity to kind of, with our peers, go over things. So what we try to do is we try to have a vendor come once a month to our marketing meeting. So all the vendors in the room, that is open. All year long, once a month, we want one vendor to talk about how we can better market your product line. So if we're marketing the Kichler Gen 3 product line, okay, if you have 9 distributors and they say this is the best way to do it, you get really good input, really good feedback. And so use that. We have an education committee. We get together every month. We talk about how to educate people. It's one of the biggest challenges we have, and we're providing some really good solutions. So I know Cassie mentioned we're partnering with Hardy. We're now providing some training and education to distributors and your employees. Last year, I think we had 150 people. No, the 120. Okay, 125 people take the training. And when we first went to them, how much did it cost? Wasn't it like $200? $250 per person. And most of the time when you ask a distributor, how much do you budget for education per employee? It's a good answer. It's a really interesting one. You get 25 different answers. Well, you know, we really don't do that like that. But no one has a number. Like, are you kidding me? You don't budget any money for education? And so, and it can be so important. It can raise sales. It can do this and do that. And so a lot of these things come from the discussions that we have in the education committee, the marketing committee. Also in education, we want each month a manufacturer to come to this meeting. So you're welcome to come to this meeting. We invite you to come, and we want to be specific in what we're going to talk about, and we'll give you 15 minutes. So, and it could be promotion related, it could be something you're working on. So our inventory management committee, we got on the phone this year, I think 3-4 vendors, and we talked to them about their early order program. And as a result of discussion, they changed their program. They said, I don't want to be forced this way. I want to do it this way. Oh, we could do that because I have an inventory tax. I don't want to bring it in before the end of the year. And so I don't want to have an additional 1% tax. Can I get it? Yeah, we'll ship it December 30th this time, and it'll work great. That kind of stuff makes a big difference, being able to get that input and then launch your program in October. So use the committees that we have to engage them in things that are going on. We have a technology committee. I would say this technology committee is talking about a lot of different things, from ERP systems to tools that we should be using. And now we have something like 8 or 10 service vendors that belong to Virtual Rain as a result of the technology committee saying, yep, this is the direction we need to be going. So the input that we get from the distributors most of the time is why we're going the direction that we're going. So vendors, if you want to get involved in technology, I know this year was interesting for me. A lot of times the sales people don't come to the technology meetings, you know, because they're sales guys. They don't understand, well, some understand relationships like JB, but so a lot of times we don't get the sales guy. And so this year, Jimmy White came to our sales meeting, or our technology meeting, and he's blown away by it. He said, wow, that was the best meeting. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. I'm like, we do it every year. Yeah, this is what we do. And all the content comes from everybody in the room. And that's why the meetings are good, because we hear from you constantly as to what you want, what you like, what you don't like. I hear that a lot, believe me. So, and hopefully we change accordingly. And we try to become better as a result of the content that we get from everybody. So with that, I want to end with this question. So business 2018. If you have a marketing plan, if you have a sales plan, what is your forecast? This will be an interesting one. What's your forecast next year? Up, down, by percentage? 10%, 5%, whatever it is. So I'll start. We put our plan together, and I've got an aggressive board, so I go conservative. But we're going for 15% growth for next year. So we're just going to pass this all the way around.
Well, assuming we have good weather, I think we can do a 5 to 10% increase over this year, and we've had a good year this year.
If we don't have 65 inches of rain, or 52 in 2 days, hopefully we can raise next year about 7.5 to 8%.
Great.
So with plumbing and well and pump products, we're budgeting for about 7 to 10% growth. With irrigation within Virtual Rain, we have a growth incentive plan that we're going to talk about later. So I'm looking for about 20% within the group. More to come.
We haven't come up with projections yet for next year. We'll come up with that in the middle of next year. No. But this year we got hammered by the weather, and I think we had about a 15% projection, and we're about flat. So you can see how good that projection was. But anyway.
Great. So that was great, Rob.
We're just finishing our year-end inventory and financial year-end for this year. Budgets are next month, but forecast, we have strong microeconomy, good building going on. I'd like to see a conservative 4 to 5% increase. Even more important than that, I'm always greedy, so I'm shooting for a 0.5% to a 1% margin increase. I know that's kind of out there, but that's what we're shooting for. So
we're projecting a 4.5% increase for next year.
Great.
Weather permitting, probably a 5 to 8% increase.
We're hoping to get somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 to 15% increase.
I'm going on the aggressive side. We got some things in play, 15% up.
I've only been with Atlantic for 6 weeks, so
Jeff, you want to answer this?
Yeah.
28%.
I'm not really in charge of making the forecast, but about 15% would be a milestone for us, and I think we could achieve it. So, but I just wait to hear what the forecast is.
Jimmy's meeting with the Dutch on Thursday, but I think they're going to go for 7-8%.
We should make 10% increase. Because I know that Mike Young is thinking about opening more branches. I think we're going to be lucky. We're going to be lucky to stay afloat next year. I think we'll probably be up someplace in the 8 to 10%. Market looks good.
I think our goal will be 7 to 8, but expecting a little bit more than that, probably 10.
50.
8 to 10. If I can get Rob on board, 20.
So since I'm still so new, Kevin mouthed to me 7%.
As depending on the weather, 8%.
Probably 10 to 15.
As Tom said, about 10%.
And that 7%, Brittany said, is on the turf side. Ag side of our business is to be determined based on weather.
Northern California was pretty hammered by weather this year, so we're having a pretty flat year, to be honest with you. So given the good weather, I'd expect normal weather this next year. I'd expect a 10%.
10 to 15.
Family-owned company, and the head of the family says we need to get 8% next year, so that's what we budgeted in.
Family-owned company, owner just hired a new controller. I haven't been told what I'm going to sell next year.
I would say 6 to 8.
5 sounds good.
I would say probably 8 to 10%. We have a lot of exciting products coming out next year, so I think that's going to help boost things a bit. So.
What was that?
As much as we possibly can. No, I think, like Aaron said, 5 to 8, but double digit wouldn't surprise us. But again, all weather.
Ride the wave. Don't be surprised by double digit. The housing start and construction rate right now is below absorption. We're the last ones on the job. It'll be 10% this year and probably higher the next. Make strategic hires and investments to take advantage of the growth.
Like Tim said, 6 to 8.
Okay, so what was the best part of the meeting this morning, Chuck?
Well, as always, your part of the segment that featured Derek Wright. No, in all actuality, I think that hearing the different perspectives of what everyone here is doing with marketing, because my marketing team is really comprised of Becca and myself, and our effort really is in its infancy. So it's great to hear the different perspectives that each of you bring. I especially like the challenges part, because that really fits into the same challenges that we have. I think the greatest challenge that Becca and I have is just selling this concept of a marketing plan, a marketing playbook to our company. In a commodities-based company like ours, getting that message to resonate with the owners of the company that marketing can really make a difference. It can really improve our margins. It can really improve our relationships. Buy-in at that level is critical. So I particularly enjoyed hearing all of your perspectives on the challenges that you have and the ways that you're overcoming those.
Great.
I really appreciated the insight on the digital marketing efforts. It's not just about promotions and discounting off a list, I agree. So I think as vendors and distributors, we can all appreciate getting the data-rich content, making sure we have content that resonates to all of our different target audiences. So great stuff this morning.
All of it was really interesting for me. We've largely depended on our vendors to do a lot of our marketing. We're just now coming into the digital era, so it's all been informative, and I enjoyed it.
I was just happy listening to everybody's marketing stuff for this next coming year, and looking forward to trying it.
Thank you. Actually, it's just probably the marketing challenges and knowing and understanding that we all have very, very similar ones. As I kind of listen to the challenges from both distributors and other vendors, I'm kind of jotting down the notes on how we can get better ourselves. So that's been very helpful for me.
I think a big thing is the communication between the vendor, the vendor and the distributor. A lot of times we assume the other person, the other party is doing something, and like everyone said, with a lot of noise, a lot of things going on, the communication level needs to be there to make it a successful promotion.
Just like just about every other time I come to Virtual Rain, it's this list of to-dos when I go back home. Every time I get through it, I come here and I absorb a bunch of other really good ideas and try to go home and see what sticks.
I'm going to say the challenges and the promotions were helpful. I'm new to the industry, so hearing everyone's strengths and weaknesses has really helped with, you know, learning what works and what doesn't work in this industry.
For me, it'd be the challenges. Company our size, we have a marketing department of 3. So hearing that our customers have larger marketing departments than us kind of puts things in perspective on what we can change for going forward and actually doing promotions in the future for STI especially.
For me, this is very new. So I grew up in this industry, grandfather and father. So to see all of you guys, I've been looking at your website. So as people were going up speaking, I'm looking at the names. And it's exciting for me just to share in that and see that we all have the same struggles, and that that my efforts aren't going unnoticed, that everyone seems to be doing a lot of the same things, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. So it at least makes me feel like keep trying, keep going. So that would be it.
Kendall, would you take the mic?
Sure. I think it's nice to see all of you, because I know I never get to see your faces, so this is my favorite time. But also, like, just like Laura said and Michelle, like, it's nice to know that we're all in the same bus. You know, we're trying, and just don't stop, because it's all worth it.
Great. Steve, since she gave it to you, take it.
Popcorn. So I think that the challenge aspect was really interesting to me. I think something Steve said that I wrote down here, what does the vendor expect from the promotion, is a question I'll start asking. Just as we set goals and measure promotional success or unsuccess, I guess, I'm wondering what the vendor expects from it. That would help us kind of reverse goal set to a certain degree.
John, why not?
We can keep going. Yeah, absolutely. So it's a combination of a lot of things. For me, my perspective is hearing a lot of you guys saying the exact same thing. From a manufacturer perspective, if there's things that we're doing at a higher level that we can then pass along to you guys, and knowing that we could do one or two things, and it's going to support 95% of that room, I think that's invaluable, because obviously everyone's going to have these little one-offs, you know, special needs and stuff like that. And as we all know, the squeaky wheel, gets the grease. So that doesn't always mean it's the benefit to everybody. So hearing the consensus on some things here today helps me. So
great. So last 3 people, Bryce, I'll let you start. What's one thing we could have done this morning to make this meeting more effective to you? One thing. Anything? One thing.
I don't have anything.
Dave, one thing.
5-minute stretch break between 8 o'clock and 10 a.m.
Okay, we'll go with that. Justin, one thing.
I got nothing.
Okay, well, that's this morning's session, right?